that will be a huge blow for investors. It will be a huge blow to those that rely on the oil and gas sector for employment and the spin-off jobs that are associated with that.
And do you see that as just impacting the provinces of BC and Alberta?
No, I think that it goes way further than that. We're already seeing impacts of the Energy East pipeline cancellation when TransCanada decided that the rule changes midway through were too much for them. They were not going to continue to put good money after bad. No investor would, and especially when there is no certainty. And that's what we're seeing. You know, obviously, as we mentioned before on programs in the past, General Electric here in Peterborough even had a contract to build motors for that Energy East pipeline. So, you know, something that was somewhat, you know, far away had an impact locally. But what you're going to see in the bigger picture is people that want to either start investing or start looking at Canada as a place to do business might take a second glance, because it clearly shows that this wasn't the, you know, safe place to do so. We were always looked upon as a safe place to start business or investing.
And so how does that impact our economy? Why is that important for us to be worried about?
Well, you're not going to see the expansions in some cases happen. Investments in new startups, you may not see that happen. It's all a series of incidents that are happening, and the federal government has put a few of them in place. Even if the federal government approved the Northern Gateway project, which would have brought Alberta oil and gas to the north coast of British Columbia, the government also imposed a tanker ban in northern British Columbia. So even if that project was built, the Kinder Morgan would not have been able to get their product to market because the tankers would not have been able to come into the northern coast of British Columbia. Meanwhile, we continue to allow lesser standards on our east coast, bringing in tankers from Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, people in countries, lesser standards.
In what way?
Absolutely. Well, labor laws for one. None of those countries have them. Environmental standards, if they have a spill, do they clean it up? Do they have a process in place where they look after the environment? Not a chance. We do here in Canada. We have responsibly produced oil and gas here in Canada. And it is some of the strongest standards anywhere in the world. And that is for a reason, because we do want to protect our environment.
And you say that with pride.
Absolutely. I think we should be proud of that. We're seeing development going on in the United States at a massive level. We're seeing them become pretty much energy independent. And we have growing markets right across the world that need oil and gas in order to grow their economies. And you know, I would love to see the day where we're not relying on fossil fuels. And I'm sure that is one day going to happen. But pretty much every forecast I have seen has shown that demand for oil is on the rise before it starts to take a downturn. So a few decades, I'm seeing at least till 2040, if not after the fact. And so why wouldn't we want oil that is produced at some of the highest standards anywhere in the world being sold to countries that want to use it? Otherwise, they're going to continue to get their oil from foreign despots. And I don't think that's right either. We have labor laws, we have environmental standards, we have regulations. These are good paying jobs. These are good paying jobs. And we saw what happened when, I know you want to jump in there, I'll just quickly finish my thought.
Yes.
When not too long ago, the oil and gas industry was booming. Economies all across the country were booming. We saw people, I'm sure it happened in Peterborough, in my riding, we had people in the skilled trades that would go out to Alberta, Saskatchewan, and work for a couple of weeks, come home, they'd bring home massive paychecks, and that would help our economy here locally. And those that decided not to go for whatever reason, maybe they had great opportunities, actually drove up wages in the skilled trade sector here, domestically, or not domestic, in Ontario, because of supply and demand. Right, and so we could have continued that path. Instead, we seem to be stalling our oil and gas industry.